This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. What I'm looking at today is 2018's The Pool, which could be known by its other title, Despair the Movie. And I only say that half in jest because what this guy is put through is not enjoyable to watch. It's not torture porn in the sense of just unremitting violence for violence sake. It's not that. But the struggles this guy has to go through to just live at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, he does. I don't know if it's worth the journey. Well, for him as a character, obviously. But for a viewer to watch this happen. I'll give you an example of what I mean. One of the things he goes through is that, okay, wait, first, let's back up. Let me give you a summary of the movie. The Pool revolves around this production assistant on a commercial, I believe. And it takes place in a pool. This is an insanely deep pool. I want to say 25 feet deep. And it's not sloping as many pools tend to do. It's just deep. And there are no ladders. Did I mention there are no ladders in this pool? So as long as there's water in it, you can swim, obviously, you're fine. But the shoot ends, and this production assistant is just lazing about in the pool. His friend, who's leaving to film, I believe, in Tibet, let him know that he set the pool to drain. Now, it was a sunny day, the guy's relaxing on the water. It's quite possible he didn't hear him, or he was just in a daze, and he just didn't catch that really crucial detail. But the long and short of it is, he goes to sleep. And by the time he wakes up, the pool is drained to such a degree that he can't reach the rim. And so he's pretty much there for the duration, literally. And so he's at the bottom of this pool. And this movie is well shot. The actors are appealing. The lead is very appealing. But it's like a study in masochism. Because, as I implied earlier, this guy goes through so much to, more often than not, no avail. And I was going to give an example earlier, and here that example is. He's caught in a pool, at the bottom of the pool, I should say, and while it rains occasionally, so there's water, it doesn't rain a lot. And during one of these rainstorms, the wind blows over a pipe. The pipe has wire on it, a heavy gauge wire. And he was going to use that to climb out. And that makes a lot of sense. Though, when you take a closer look at that wire, it's barbed wire. So, he's not wearing a lot of clothing. He just has pants and a tank top. Which I mentioned because if you had more clothing, you could wrap that wire and minimize the damage to your hands. Your feet aren't really an issue because they'd be trying to climb the side of the pool. But your hands would certainly be grabbing that wire and being cut to literal ribbons. So he doesn't have enough clothing, though there is a bit of clothing next to that wire. But for whatever reason, he doesn't even try to get that. Instead, he climbs just barehanded, and he's cutting his hands to ribbon. Eventually, whatever's holding that wire there gives, and he falls in the pool, hurts his ankle. Here's another example. His girlfriend, who comes to see him. Now, I don't get this, which is why I think this movie lends itself to masochism. There's a scene where his girlfriend comes to see him, and she climbs a multi-level diving board to jump in a pool. Now, this is really weird. She looks down. Now, keep in mind, this does not work as planned. But the idea that she does that, climbs up there, looks into the pool, sees him there, and is ready to dive in any case, keeping in mind the water level has obviously dropped 10 feet maybe? There is not enough water to dive, but she's getting ready to do it anyway. She's startled, she falls, She's startled by the dog. Oh yeah, there's a dog, and it doesn't go very well. So not in the way you think. So she's startled, and she falls into the pool, not before hitting her head on the dive board. And this is the way this movie rolls. It's constantly him trying to get out of this pool and failing spectacularly every single time. And that's not even talking about the crocodile, which definitely makes things a wee bit more difficult. It's not a bad movie. As I said, the actors are appealing, it's well shot, the predicament is interesting, but to sit and watch it, as I did for the most part, is a chore. It's a drudge, because there's no real optimism in this movie that I could see. And I have to mention, I was actually sewing up a blanket that fell into a bit of disrepair. I wasn't watching this movie straight through because I'm not sure I could. It's just not the type of movie that's going to engage most people, I suspect. It reminded me of Die Hard somewhat. But Die Hard, if you take away any kind of optimism, any kind of hope that you're going to come out of this situation intact, because you don't know. I mean, most movies, typically the star comes out of it fine, and this movie is no different. But at the same time, he just kept failing in some really difficult ways. It became, as I said, a dirge, just something not easy to watch. The Pool is currently on Amazon. If you're interested in this type of thing, I'd take a look, but trust me, it's not something I would necessarily invest my time in. It's, as I said, it's not a bad movie. In fact, it's quite watchable. But to see this person fail time and again, hurting themselves in the process while fighting a crocodile is a bit much. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Peace.